Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year! First video of 2020. Hey. I was either 0 or 100 with my makeup. Like I would just do spot concealing or I would be in a full face. I didn't really have an in-between. And I feel like I have an in-between now, and I really wanted to share it with you guys because I know sometimes there are just times that you want a quicker makeup look, but you still feel like, you got a little something going on here. So that is what today's video is all about. I'm gonna show you guys the products that have been working really well for me. So that's it for today's video, you guys, and let's get started. I already moisturized this morning. I used the Origins, I think it's called Ginseng. It's in a little orange container. It's a water cream. I've really been liking it. I love water creams in the morning. They just feel so like cold on my face. I like water creams more than I like thicker creams in the morning. I always try to wear a sunscreen. I've been trying, especially this year, to be way more aware of like actually using sunscreen every single day. Even if I don't feel like I'm gonna be out in the sun all day, you're typically in the sun a lot more than you think you are. This is the Laura Mercier SPF 30 Protect Primer, and this one's more of a chemical sunscreen. So I'm gonna use this one today. Ooh, already running low. I've gone through so many of these, I feel like. So this one also just feels really good on the skin. It kind of feels like a moisturizer in addition to a primer and a sunscreen. So I don't have any makeup on besides my brows right now. I do have a little bit of a brow, but I didn't soap them yet. That's usually like my last step. Next step is a step that I personally like to do just because I have larger pores around my nose and just right here across the bridge of my nose and the tops of my cheeks. I do apply a little bit of the Tatcha Silk Canvas. Basically any type of pore filling primer I feel like is good for me. It does also help control oil a little bit throughout the day. I talked about this a lot in my last video, so I'm not gonna go really in depth on it today, but this is my favorite concealer to use for my no foundation or if I'm breaking out a lot. This is one of my favorite ones to use because of the texture. It's very liquidy and it's non-drying on the skin. This is the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer in the shade 30. So this is what I'm gonna use as my spot concealing and the product I use the most of for this look. So typically for this, what I'll do is I'll conceal here. Wow, I can't see what I'm doing. That was like way different area than where I wanted to put it. So I'll put some here, some on this little guy here. My nose, I'll typically cover right here. Got some redness over here from some angry spots on my face this past month. And a little bit right there. So I start with that, see how I feel. And the brush that I've been using, that I've also been talking about till I'm blue in the face, the Real Techniques Deluxe Crease Brush. I love this brush. You can buff if you want to buff concealer, or you can stipple if you want to have more coverage, which, I do a little bit of both. Areas like this, I'll typically buff, and then if I want it to have more coverage, I'll stipple it in. So like over here. I think in my last video that I used this, I was actually breaking out right here, and it's still just pretty red. So just kind of buff all that concealer out. So there we go. That is actually, I'm gonna put some here too because I tend to, it's not really red right here, but I just like to do it to kind of blend everything together. Just in this area, kind of buff it out. So my next step is to color correct my under eyes or my inner corners. Now, I do not have really dark, like dark blue under eyes. I have a little bit of blueness in there. Also, just to let you know, there's a lot of light on me right now, so it's making it look a little bit lighter than what it actually is in person. But there is a little tiny bit of darkness right there. So concealer that I like to use to color correct that is a salmony? Sounds really weird to say that. I don't think salmony is an adjective, but a pinkish salmon undertone type concealer. I've been all about my Bye Bye Under Eye since I started my channel, but I've actually switched. I mean, I go back and forth, but I've been using the NARS Honey Concealer. Now, when I wear like a no makeup, a no foundation look like this one, it's too dark for me to use it on its own, but I use it to color correct, and then I put a different concealer on top of it. There is a color corrector that I bought when I did my Cruella de Vil makeup look. I went shopping at MAC. The guy that was working at the MAC counter was so helpful because I was talking to him about how I wanted to cover my brows, and it was my first time doing it and going out, and I really wanted it to look good. And I was just like, I don't know, I'm just struggling with the part after the glue and before the foundation, basically the color correcting part. And he suggested this color corrector to me. I believe it was Trish McAvoy, but it was such a great color corrector, and I felt like I could layer colors and foundation on top of it and it didn't like blend into my foundation. So if you have under eyes that you feel like need a really strong color corrector, possibly look into that one, maybe test it out. I really liked it when I used it to cover up my brow hair. Thank goodness it ended up working out that night, because once you start doing the layers of glue to cover up your brows, if you want to start over, you pretty much have to wash your whole face off. And it looked really good that night. I was really proud of myself for actually doing that. So this is the NARS Honey Concealer, and I just take a tiny bit right here and right there. So I'm gonna stipple this one out. But you can see how it really, like, you pretty much can't see any darkness on my inner corner anymore. The next step is really like my more makeup-y step. This is a different shade of NARS concealer. This is Creme Brulee. Much lighter, but still a peachy undertone. So this is obviously gonna conceal my under eyes, but also cover up some of that color corrector that I put on the inner corner of the eye, because Honey is a little bit dark for me on its own, so I'm just gonna be covering it up here. And whenever I have my under eye area concealed, that's when I feel best. So I'm gonna take this and buff it out. I think the NARS concealer is a great one for this purpose. I think Shape Tape, I love Shape Tape when I do a full face, but it's a little bit too thick for just wearing on its own with no powder, because I don't actually use any powder in this look. So just lightly buff this out. And I feel like the key to making this look the most natural and not like you have these really bright under eyes is finding the right undertone of concealer for you. And I have found that concealer with subtle peach undertones tend to look the best on me when I have a look like this. I found that these concealers worked really well, Creme Brulee from NARS, and I am gonna use a tiny bit of Affogato. This one is a little bit extra. Would it be me if I wasn't using 9 different concealers? I mean, I only used 4. Oh my God, that's a lot. So this is just for like an extra pop of brightness. This is not, you know, required, but this one does just make me feel good when I use this one. So just a little bit of Affogato in there, which I believe has like subtle peach undertones, if I'm not mistaken. And then I do put like residual right here, just that way it kind of all blends together. I don't know if you guys tried the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, but it's a really great full coverage concealer, and now they have it in hydrating, so I feel like that has my name written all over it. So I'm definitely gonna be picking some of that up and trying it out. Can you see if I used Affogato all over, that would be like too bright, but this one looks great. I'll just take this brush that has very, very little product on it and kind of buff it out in areas that maybe need a little bit of product. So like my eyelids, put some there, here, kind of buff it into the temples a little bit, just so we don't have any lines anywhere. I'm like, no foundation, just concealer all over my entire face. I swear this is less makeup than what I normally wear though, I promise you. So now that I have everything concealed, I feel like my complexion's really even. I color corrected my under eyes, I concealed my under eyes. You know, that's my favorite area to conceal. I get so much joy and satisfaction out of concealing under eyes, probably just because of the melasma that I had for so long, but I just love it. So now what I wanna do is add a little color back in. And isn't there a meme that says like girls cover up their face with foundation just to put blush on it? Something like that. This is a step that I did not always do. Normally I would just do spot concealing, but because I evened everything out on the under eyes and did a little bit of brightening, I felt like I needed a little bit of color back in my face. So, I'm pretty sure I told you guys, but I ordered a bunch of the Flower Beauty blushes from their website. Do you guys know, are they not selling it at Ulta at all anymore? Is it the brand getting discontinued? What's going on? I ordered these on Black Friday and I got them like 2 weeks ago. Whoa. So they did take a second to ship, which I know a lot of companies take a long time to ship on Black Friday because like everybody orders Black Friday, but it did take a minute for me to get this, but I was excited when I did. So I use these two colors. This is Pinched Blush Balm from Flower Beauty and Bubbly. This is a very like literally bubblegum pink color. So I take a little bit of Pinched, this much, not very much, and then Bubbly, just a tiny bit of Bubbly because it is very bubbly. Like this. Let me show you. Pounced all the blush, and this is an IT Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection Blush. I love the IT Cosmetics brushes. So now we're going to apply the blush here, and I just apply it like this, really lightly, pouncing all over the cheeks. And I like to start light because, you know, sometimes I put way too much in the brush. So I put some on my cheeks here and kind of just buff it around, and then I also bring it right on top of the nose. Whenever I put blush right here, I always think of Manny's gingerbread man look he did. It's so cute. But you see how it adds just a little bit of life into the cheeks. And the last step of the face, I know this is crazy, right? This is actually the last step. This is like an optional one. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. It just depends how I'm feeling. I will either do a type of bronzing situation or I won't. Just depends how I feel, you know? This is the Milk Makeup Bronzer in the shade Baked. So this is the Smashbox Blurring Foundation Brush. I love Smashbox brushes. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of this. You see how fluffy this brush is? And pull back my hair here and just lightly stipple this around the forehead area. I'm not going like full bronzer helmet here. This is just a little bit of bronzer just to add a little bit of life into the skin. See how just a tiny, tiny bit added a little bit of life to the skin and kind of balanced everything out, you know, with the under eyes being a little bit brighter. So that is it for complexion, you guys. That is literally it, but I love the way this makes me feel throughout the day. I don't feel like I have heavy makeup on. I don't powder it at all, which I know maybe sounds crazy, but I feel like the NARS concealer dries down on the under eyes fairly nicely, and I don't feel like there's so much product there that I have to powder it to set it, and it just kind of stays. Like, it actually doesn't move around a lot, which I know sounds insane, but I really feel good about it. So the next step, or last step basically, is to hook up the lashes. I have long lashes, so I tap at the base, tap in the middle, and tap at the end. I have long lashes, but they're incredibly straight, so I have to do the 3-tap method here. And this is the Too Faced Better Than Sex Waterproof Mascara. This is a tiny one that I just opened because I couldn't find mine. This one keeps my lashes curled throughout the day, so it's a winner for me. You do have to use an oil to take it off, which a lot of people don't like. Very understandable. So that's the vibe with just mascara. But I'm gonna show you guys with lashes. So this is a pair of Ardell Wispies, and what I do is I cut out, first of all, I think these are like longer than regular Wispies. So what I do is I cut off the outer corner where it gets shorter, and it makes it, you see how it's more of a symmetrical lash, so it's longer in the center, shorter on the outer corner. I cut this part off, so that way it's a little bit slightly more of a flared lash. And then what I do, I actually curl these before I put them on, same way that I do my regular lashes. But I'm gonna get this as close as I can to the lash line. I typically like to look down, pop it in there, and then come in with the tweezers and put the inner corner on. I'll take my mascara, and instead of putting it on like this, I put it on like this, so it's a bit more chunky. And I kind of poke and wiggle my way through the lashes. And now what I'm gonna do is just touch up my brows, and that's pretty much it. Lip-wise, I personally don't like to wear any lip when I wear this look. I feel like if I do any type of lip, it just looks like too much on me. So I don't. I'll do either my Bite lip balm, which makes it look a little bit glossy, or I'll do a clear gloss, maybe a shimmery gloss, or an oil. I'll throw on this one. This is the Kiehl's Love Oil for Lips Glow Infusing Lip Treatment. All right, you guys, so that's it for today's video. I know it wasn't a full glam makeup look, But this is something that I've been wearing a lot lately, and I feel like it's a look that I've always wanted, but maybe I didn't know exactly what products were gonna work best for it or the balance of how to do it. But I love this look because I feel like sometimes doing less can actually be more difficult, or like trying to find the right concoction of items and products that work really well. So when I found this concoction this past month, I was very, very excited and I want to share it. So anyway, that wraps up this video. I hope you guys had an amazing new year and I will see you guys in the next video.